Hi, Ghosties. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Macy. We often talk about all these haunted locations and different paranormal encounters. One thing I never really thought about were the people that have to actually work in these places.
Yeah, that's what we're doing today.
That's what we're doing today.
I'm excited about this.
So having a job is hard enough, and I couldn't imagine having to deal with evil bosses and possible evil entities.
Honestly, at this point, I'll take the entities over the customers.
Okay, honestly, okay.
Is that not fair?
No, that's fair. That's very fair.
I'd rather be haunted than have to talk to an actual physical person ever again.
You know what? I agree. I take everything I said back. But regardless, today we're having a little tea party episode telling stories of times when people were haunted while on the job. And this was something you suggested a while back.
I did.
And I've kind of kept it in my folder over here.
Did I suggest it because of what happened to me at work? Or was I just like, ooh, that's cool?
I think it was somebody else, maybe. Like one of our other tea party episodes, one of a listener story, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, our tea for this week, because it's super late, we went with Sleepy Time. It's another repeat. So we've got a Sleepy Time tea.
I'm excited. I need it. Let's go. I wouldn't drink it again, but...
I think that's what we said last time, or what you said last time, and now we're drinking it again.
Yeah, it just tastes like gum, like spearmint gum.
A little bit, yeah. So moving on to our topic here, I've never worked anywhere haunted. My old job was a little spooky sometimes. I'd come in at like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. It was really dark. I was one of the only people there, and it had these really long hallways that were kind of dim still. And so that was creepy walking down it. It almost felt like when you look behind you, the hallways were just like expanding even longer.
Ugh.
But other than that, just like spooky vibes, I never experienced anything.
Yeah.
At my job.
Long hallways, though, I always imagine I'm going to turn around and someone's going to be chasing me.
Oh,
like
me
crawling.
Too. Oh, no.
I've never worked at anywhere haunted that I know of. One thing that did happen, though, and my coworker even noticed it like a second time. Did I tell you about that?
No. Okay.
Okay. I was at work and I had thought that my boss's son was back in like the kitchen area because he had been there. He's working there like part-time or whatever. I had heard cabinets closing and like the door moving and just general sounds of someone being in there. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, he's here. Because I was kind of just like, relax a little, playing on my phone, not gonna lie. And then I was like, oh, someone else is here? Okay, let me put my phone away and let me like start working and stuff. And later on, I got up to go to the bathroom, walked past that door. I was alone. That still gets me. Not a single person in the whole office because everybody else took their lunch at a different time than me.
I hate that so much.
I was alone. And so I was just like, la-di-da-di-da, I made that up. And then when everyone got back, I finally felt like relieved. But I was like turned around in my chair the whole rest of the time.
Don't you always feel like they're gonna, if your back is to it,
yes,
you're vulnerable?
It's gonna grab me by my neck. Yeah. So then a couple weeks later, I was sitting there and it was just me again, but then also the intern that sits at the front. And we heard noises. And then she turned to me and said, is so-and-so here? And I said, no. Why do you ask? She's like, you don't, like, I heard noises, did you not? And I was like, I did, but I'm choosing to ignore them. And she just looked at me like, and then I told her about the story and she's like, sometimes I hear movement back there and I think there's someone here. And I was like, shut your mouth because we're not going to talk about this.
No.
And then we both just laughed and I was like, but I'm serious, don't talk about it again. We just moved on.
So, but that building is new. Yes, it's fairly new, like within the last 5-6 years or so. Yeah?
No, more than 5 or 6. Yeah, really? Probably like 15.
It is by a funeral home. But even still.
No, I'm just choosing to not acknowledge it.
To live in peace?
Yes, because there are a lot of times when I am alone, and so I'm just going to believe that I'm alone.
Probably best for your sanity, honestly.
But when I don't like
that.
I don't like it either, but...
I was hoping maybe it was like a fluke one-time thing, like maybe a mouse got in or something, but no, it's like someone else, and they've heard it before, multiple times.
She literally was like, yeah, I always just kind of play it off. I was like, and we're going to continue that.
Wow, that's spooky. Made it 10 times spookier with the confirmation from another coworker.
Agreed, but...
Well, we've got plenty of those today.
I'm excited.
Starting off with Lana. Some of these people, I just changed names. And
did you make that one up?
I made Lana up.
I like that name.
I also do too. I was listening to Lana Del Rey and I felt fitting. So Lana had just started working as the office manager of a doctor's office a few months before. On this particular evening, she was working late and everyone else had already gone home. As she was finishing up and filing the last of the documents she had been working on, she saw an elderly man walking through the waiting room. She thought that she had locked up and was a little frustrated that someone was standing before her, though it was clearly after hours. She asked him how he had gotten in, but he gave her no answer. Instead, he smiled a wide and sinister smile and walked through the front door and out into the street. She thought it was odd and a bit creepy, but gathered her things and left for the night. Later that week, while discussing the incident with a coworker, she learned that there was an older gentleman who died in the building years before the doctor began leasing the place. Lana wasn't the only person to see him wandering the office, and he tended to show up regularly, especially near the anniversary of his death.
Hate that.
The smile.
That's what I was just about to say.
Smile.
Any smiling thing now, I think I'm traumatized from the one whenever you said that
The gummy smile.
they heard the smile in the dark.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, that just like sent chills. I didn't ever want to talk about that again.
Sorry, I made you bring it up.
What episode was that?
Ooh, it was one of the listener
stories.
Yeah.
The sickest thing I've ever heard.
Okay, thank you.
Disgust.
It added another layer of fear, but moving on. So this person's workplace of more than 3 years had many strange occurrences witnessed by everybody in the office. The most notable experience, and what all 15 of the female employees had gone through at least once, was the bathroom ghost.
Oh, no.
In the women's restroom, employees would very often hear the sounds of high-heeled footsteps walking along the linoleum floors with nobody in there to make the noise. It usually occurred when only one person was in the bathroom all alone and was accompanied by the sounds of rustling in the last stall as if someone were in there, though they'd come out and not a soul had walked in the bathroom. Spookiest and most convincing of all was one day while a pest control worker was in the office, he experienced the same thing. He walked out and apologized to whoever it was that walked into the restroom and ran out while he was in there spraying. He just assumed someone had come in and was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to intrude on the space, I was just in there real quick, it's open now, you can go in there. Nobody had gone into their bathroom. In fact, only 2 women were in the office that day, both of them sitting next to each other and talking while the man was there doing his job. And so they knew no one had walked in there.
You know, bathrooms, public restrooms have been a trigger for me since maybe 2004. One, because of Scream.
Oh yeah, Scream. I think about that every time I walk into a public restroom and it's empty or quiet.
Yep. And then because of my first ghost experience.
A lot of callbacks this episode.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that, go back to episode 2.
Yeah.
I'm always terrified. I hate a public restroom. First of all, Americans got it wrong. I don't know why we created the bathrooms the way we did with the stalls. It's just wrong.
I don't know how stalls are in other countries usually.
I don't either, but I do know that people from other countries are like, when I go to America, why can people see me through the stall cracks? And it's like,
the worst of the stories
question.
of people like looking over. I hate those stories. I hate them so much. Did I just send you into a panic?
Yes, because I don't know why I've never thought of that.
People looking over, you've never read stories like that?
Yes, but I think I've blocked them out. So now I'm going to be like
all angles, like the cracks, the front, the bottom.
I avoid public restrooms at all costs.
Oh yeah, me too. Unless it's an emergency, I do not go to the bathroom outside of my house.
Unless it's at Buc-ee's.
Okay, Buc-ee's.
That's
Buc-ee's
the
is okay.
only place that I feel safe in the bathroom. Other than that, I feel unsafe, and just sick. Disgusting.
Know where is strangely one of the creepiest, well, one movie theaters, but I also think that's because of Scream.
Oh yeah.
But Target bathrooms are usually
scary.
Really scary. They always have like a blinking, like going out fluorescent light.
Yes.
But yeah, never experienced a ghost in a bathroom like that. It's never bothered anybody, but it is creepy.
The one that bothered me, I heard the footsteps.
I'm talking about this person's experience at
work.
Well,
I heard the footsteps and it was coming for me.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I can't believe that's real.
Me neither. This next one says, I used to work as a dispatcher for a charity clothing and toy warehouse. It was my job to close the warehouse after everyone had gone home and then finish the compliance. I cannot count the number of times that I'd be walking among the carts and all of a sudden, always simultaneously and always spontaneously, a bunch of toys in a bunch of carts would start quacking or playing creepy music or talking. Once, a doll actually sat up and looked at me from the top of a garbage bag and laughed, the creepiest laugh I've ever heard. I felt like I was in the first scene of a Doctor Who episode and they wouldn't even realize I was gone. Or maybe a murder doll movie.
I'm sorry. What?
That is frightening. It's sitting up and laughing, just playing.
Doing the sound that it has?
Yes. I would have punted that doll out of the store.
What do you even do?
Leave. There's no other option than to leave.
I'm genuinely trying to put myself in that. I can't.
No.
I can't put my brain there.
It's one thing for suddenly every toy to just go off all at once.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, whatever, maybe I can play that off.
Kind of try anyway. But a doll sitting up? No. That one really, really spoke to me.
I'm sick.
In the worst way. Anyway, dolls are creepy.
Always.
So this next one. I work in a museum. There has always been a joke that the man the museum was named after haunted the place. Things would go missing and items in the souvenir shop would be moved. When housekeeping did a deep clean at night, they always said strange stuff would happen. Sounds, voices, etc. When the museum was renovated, we added a big screen theater. There was a control booth with a small storage area at the top of the theater steps. There's also a tiny balcony behind the control booth where we have the screens that face the main hall that we use to advertise upcoming events, memberships, things like that. Many of the security staff swear they have seen and or experienced ghostly happenings in the control booth and storage area around the balcony. One really large, muscled ex-military guy had such a frightening experience that he refused to go into the theater ever again.
Oh, I thought you were saying that was the ghost. I was like, oh gosh.
He was on rounds, checked the theater, and heard sounds in the control booth. He knew the AV guy was off that day, so he went up to check it out. He saw no one in the booth or the storage area, so he was checking the balcony. He said someone shoved him and he almost fell off the balcony. There was no one in the theater besides him, but they checked the tape anyway. You could clearly see on the tape the moment he was pushed forward, but you couldn't see what pushed him. I stay away from the theater now. If the biggest security guard in the place was almost pushed off the balcony by invisible forces, I'm not chancing it.
Now, I never thought about museums being haunted, but it does make sense.
Oh, and they have all of these artifacts and little trinkets from the past. Oh, yeah.
On my last birthday, that's what I wanted to do. We went to the museum, Ryan and I was so... Obviously, I've been to a museum before, but for some reason, we were in like the room with the crowns and jewels and little trinkets from people past, just don't know who they were. They just had these artifacts. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting there thinking like, whose was this? How did they get this? Where did this come from? Who was this person? What life did they live? And it was just like blowing my mind, which I know this is not something new. I think about it, but then when I was in the room, it was just
experiencing it. It's another feeling.
Yeah. Because
one of the reasons I like museums is
I love
to think of all of the past, the lives,
the people
that this artifact or piece of anything, piece of history.
Yes, someone
felt
had this at their house and it was theirs, or they wore it like it was their jewelry, it was a gift, and now we're just looking at it behind glass. It makes me want to cry. I don't know why. It's just crazy to me. And so,
well, to think of all of the spirits and energy that are
attached to those things, and like if they have, what is it, like caveman bones or anything like that? Where'd you get that? Why do you have that?
It is strange to like we go and look at bones, people's bodies, mummies, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Like it's an interesting piece of history. Like,
but we don't need to.
We found that, but maybe let's let them rest.
Let's put it back. So it makes sense that a museum would be extremely haunted. Because if someone came to my resting place and took all my things and my bones, I think I'd be a little mad.
I think I'd be excited. Like, where are you taking me? Where are we going?
Okay, no. And then you have some kid on a field trip that's like, ew, I don't care about these bones. Tuh, and like spits on you.
Haunt them.
Exactly. So I could see the museum being a place for a good haunt.
Oh yeah, definitely. But hopefully not all of them have evil haunts that are trying to push people off of balconies. That's terrifying.
Depends on how you got the item, the thing on display.
So moving on to our next story. One Friday night, while finishing a report in his office late at night, Jack noticed that it was well after 3 a.m. by the time he was done with all of his work. He was all alone in the office and decided he would just take a quick nap in the break room before taking the next train back home for the weekend. So he had to kind of wait a few hours before the train, first train of the day. He lay down on the couch and began to settle in when just as he closed his eyes, he heard 3 loud taps on the glass of the window right beside him. He was on the 10th floor. He then decided he would just pay for a late night cab and get home immediately.
Oh my God. I was envisioning... Yeah, I just got hot. I didn't even get chills. I got hot. My feet are hot. I was envisioning, for some reason, the school on Pretty Little Liars. Like, he's in the library. And I was thinking like, oh, okay, some kid can be not...
No, he was on the 10th floor. Way up there. And so if it was one, like maybe one loud bang, a bird. Sure. But 3 hard knocks... 3 hard taps against the window?
What
and
is
3.
that?
Why is it always 3?
It's always 3. It's a demon.
Yeah, that one. It's a demon. That one got me. I want a hat that says that.
I know. It's a demon. That'll be, if we ever actually get to make merch.
It's like
It's a
number
demon.
1. So moving on from Jack here. When I worked at the public library, I would go in on Sunday when they were closed and shelved. This was before music streaming was the thing, and I'd usually pop a CD in, set the CD player on the floor, and turn it up. In the middle of shelving, the CD player quit. I thought maybe there was a scratch or something, so I went over to the area and the CD was on the floor, upside down, and the lid was open. That was it for me. I grabbed my keys, shut off the lights, and never went in that place by myself again.
What was the CD? Before I give any opinion, I need to know what the CD was.
Something they didn't like. But like with CD players, you have to usually, there has to be some force.
The button, you
either
click
you
it.
press the button to pop it open or you have to push in to pop it up, you know?
I was imagining the push in one.
Yeah, and for it to pop out, all the way
you have
out.
to click it out of the little middle part.
Yeah, you have to push and yeah.
You want to know something stupid?
Yes, the GameCube. You told me that.
We used to have portable CD players, and CD players were a thing of my entire...
Did you ever push them to pull them out? Or you
No.
always just rip them out?
I've always, the GameCube, the PlayStation, the CD players, I always would just rip the disc out. I recently got our family GameCube from Kayla's house because I wanted to play Sonic. I was doing what she thought, like, oh, the thing is like skipping or whatever, and I was taking the disc out to like blow on it and, you know, do all the things to get it to work again.
Yeah.
And I saw that it said like press here, and I said,
All your life.
it took me 24 years.
That's sad. Okay,
Now
I
that-
thought you just knew. I thought you just thought that about the GameCube, like that maybe you didn't have it. You were doing that to all discs.
I was forcibly ripping every disc out of any player my entire life. And now that CDs and like discs really aren't a thing, and if they are, you just kind of push them into
Slide
the
them
hole.
in, yeah.
Now I know.
Okay, moving on. We got off topic there for that one. Back in college, I worked at a boutique chain kids store that had an attached warehouse and storage area. Things in the storage area routinely seemed to appear and disappear and move around on their own, to the point that the majority of the staff joked about there being a ghost. Whenever we had treats in the break area, someone would announce, "You can have some too, Ghosty." When we couldn't find something the computer said we had, it was common to ask the ghost where they'd put it. Some of the sales staff joked about bringing in a Ouija board for Halloween to talk to the ghosts, so on and so forth. Don't do it.
No.
Shortly before I ended up quitting, the entire company was sold, and every store was told that they'd be receiving an inspection from corporate. So our inspector shows up and right out of the gate is awful. She accused us of rampant employee theft, being lazy, not following corporate mandate, incompetence, etc., etc. Absolutely everything that could be wrong somehow was and is all our fault, and clearly done with malicious intent. Almost as soon as she got there, sales dropped, and we got several customer complaints about the fact that she was screaming at staff in full view of customers. This was also our fault, of course.
Oh my gosh.
After a few days of this, we'd already had several staff quit, and everyone who was left was either considering it or convinced they were going to get fired no matter what. Our inspector is on her daily tear, this time about our storage area and how badly maintained it is. She's storming up and down the shelving aisles, yelling at us, when all of a sudden, one of the storage units she's standing near tips over, goes crashing down, knocking several other shelves over in a domino effect, and pinning our dear inspector.
Good.
We had to call 911 for help digging her out and take her to the hospital. It turned out she broke an arm and her pelvis in the incident, and the rest of our inspection was canceled.
Oh.
That's pretty intense.
I was like, yeah, get her.
She was severely injured.
That's a little... I can handle the broken arm, but once we get past one broken bone...
It's a little much for you?
It's a little much for
a
me.
whole pelvis?
Yeah. I mean, she was acting like a jerk, so okay, break her arm, but... it's a little bit too far.
The strange thing is that these were industrial strength, bolted to the floor, ceiling, and wall shelving units.
Oh my god.
Corporate freaked out about the liability and sent someone out to look at the whole warehouse, and not only could they not find anything wrong, they were baffled at how things fell in the first place. They said they'd never seen anything like it. Of course, we blamed the ghost.
But
Ghost was fed up.
good for him.
I mean,
Her.
these employees fed them snacks, or at least allowed them, shared their snacks, and
They were kind.
played with the ghost and talked to her, and the inspector was not kind, and the ghost didn't like it.
Hey, I wish everybody that treated people badly got karma. Not maybe that severe.
But it had a little ghost.
Yeah.
Maybe knock a shelf on top of them.
Hey.
Awful.
I've had a bad week, and I'm ready to knock some shelves on some people.
Yeah, that
So.
was pretty awful, but convincing to me.
Or when they came out to inspect it, they're like, "Ugh, how could this happen? We have no idea, because
they
they don't
didn't
want to
like
be
her?
in trouble.
Oh,
And they're like,
that's possible.
we're not liable for it because this was a act of God. This was something crazy. And really, it was just like one of the people that was angry with her
Like
was
a
a
rogue
sociopath.
employee, just like
unbolted everything. Yeah.
I hope not. I hope it wasn't malicious by a person. Anyway,
I like revenge.
I know you do. You're a very revengeful, petty kind of gal.
Only when it's like deserved. I don't just go out looking to harm.
Deserved in your mind, though.
Anyways.
When I was 13, I spent a summer working at my dad's company to earn some extra cash. I would come in Friday nights and clean the office. The office was in a historical Catholic church, and they still performed Saturday and Sunday Mass. There were 3 floors. The first floor was the chapel, the second floor was office space they rented out, and the third floor was the nuns' living quarters. There was a black staircase to the second floor, which all of the office workers used, and a main staircase that connected all 3 floors, but was always kept locked from the main floor. I always assumed there had been a third staircase somewhere because on Friday nights, I would hear the nuns walking around upstairs and talking to each other, but I never saw any of them go up or down the main staircase. Near the end of the summer, I noticed that the second floor landing in the main staircase had a velvet rope in front of it and a sign that the second floor was off limits. I asked my dad why it was there, and he told me that the church had decided to host tours during weekdays to people who wanted to see the historical parts of the building, mainly the third floor. I wondered how the nuns felt about people touring their living space, and my dad gave me a weird look. It was at that point he told me that no nuns had lived in the church for over 40 years. I asked if they used the third floor for anything, or if there was another staircase going up there. But I was told there were only 2 staircases, and the nuns' quarters had been sealed off when the last nun passed away in the 60s. Even the cleaning staff for the church wouldn't go up there.
Whoa.
Every Friday night she was hearing them talking and walking around above her.
But they're nuns. So that doesn't feel scary to me. That just feels like,
Unless you've watched the movie The Nun.
that movie was stupid. I'm sorry. I'll
That movie
say
was
it.
a little freaky.
I'll say it. One of the worst of the Conjuring series.
I thought it was a little spooky. The movie didn't scare me. The Nun scared me.
Yeah.
The actual visual of the nun. I had dreams about it. But a nun in real life, like, well, not like a real life nun, but like a ghost nun in real life. You were up there cleaning the office by yourself
I'd
every
feel
Friday
comforted.
night, and you heard all of that happening, and you found out at the end of the summer, after you've been hearing this for like 3 months, no one ever goes up there. No one's up there. Those doors are locked. There's not a single soul ever up there.
I think I'd feel safe because it's a church.
She just assumed it was nuns too.
Yeah.
She didn't know it was nuns.
I don't know. This one doesn't freak me out. It just feels, I mean,
That one scared me a little.
I believe it, but it doesn't feel,
Scary.
yeah, because they
Dark.
weren't trying to come after her. They were just minding their own business, doing their own thing.
True. Okay. So on to the next one. At my previous job, we worked in an older building built in 1950 in the downtown part of our state capital. My department was in the basement. Almost as soon as I started, I kept thinking I saw movement out of the corner of my eyes. I figured I was having either vision problems or a neurological thing, so I went to the eye doctor and the regular doctor to get a checkup. Everything was fine, so I just wrote it off as an overactive imagination. Then I started going into work at 6 a.m., which is really dark for a lot of the year where I live. We were in a fairly sketchy part of town, so I always made sure that I had all of the doors and everything locked. I even went around to check to make sure that nobody else was in the building with me when I got there. One day, I got to work before everyone else, checking as I made my way down to the basement. I turn the lights on and get to work. Nothing out of the ordinary. I get up to use the bathroom, which is directly behind my desk, and as I'm washing my hands, someone knocks on the door. Scared out of my mind, I open the door, and not only is there no one there, the lights in the half of the office that I was in were off. There was still no one in the building, and the light switch was flipped to the off position, and the door next to it was locked from the inside. I turned the lights back on and my music up and prayed for someone to get there soon.
Horrifying. You know what that reminds me of?
What?
And I don't like to talk about it because I don't want to acknowledge it. But I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth and I heard a knock on the door because I thought it was Ryan. I was like, 1 second. And then when I was finished doing what I was doing, I turned around and opened the door and he wasn't there. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, he just walked away because I took too long. Hold on, let me go grab him. Walked outside. He's asleep on the couch. The dogs are asleep on the couch. And nobody had moved. Something knocked on the door and I said, 1 second.
On the bathroom door.
Yes. Yes. And I
Same as
told
this guy.
Ryan and he's like, y'all need to stop doing that podcast in the house. He was so like, he didn't even want to like hear about it. He was just like, okay, I'm done.
We need to do some more protections. Some more prayers over here.
But I'm just telling myself,
You heard something.
yes.
I don't
Let's
like
talk about it.
knocking at all in general.
Me neither.
Ever. Not even at people.
But hey, it
When
wasn't
people
3.
knock on my door, I just don't answer.
Me neither. Never have. There's been kids that come up to my door to sell cookies.
Okay,
I'll
for some
get
Girl
them.
Scout cookies, I'll open for some Girl Scout
No,
cookies.
I'll get them outside of the PetSmart.
Ugh, but being at work, all alone, in the dark, the light switch turned off. It was in the off. It's not like the lights went out. Like someone had flipped it
Yeah,
off. He had turned it on and someone had flipped it off.
that's
And
pretty
no one
sick.
was there.
That's
and
pretty
he's in the
sick.
basement. We've already established basements.
Basements and
Evil.
parking garages.
Just creepy.
Just stop it.
So on to the next one. Once I was alone in the building by myself after dark, finishing up work, and the main phone rang at the receptionist's desk. It wasn't ringing on any of the extensions, but it wasn't the internal ring either. It was just only ringing there. We have a night system that routes calls straight to voicemail, but it just kept ringing. So I walked over to answer it, and when I picked it up, there were multiple male voices chanting in a language I couldn't identify. Freaked out, I hung up as soon as the handset clicked down before it could even be an auto redial. While my hand was still on it, it rang again. I picked it up just far enough to hear them again and then slammed it down. It started ringing again, so I booked it back to my desk, shut down my computer without closing anything, grabbed my stuff, set the alarm, and power walked down the hallway out the door. And it was still ringing when I shut the door.
Oh my god! I was gonna make a joke and be like, "No, this is Patrick." But,
No.
oh my god!
Chanting in a language she did not recognize.
They're cursing her. Is it
That-
oh my
That is so frightening.
Yeah.
I don't even have any words.
That's-
That one really scared me earlier.
That's the
Or
scariest
the other day when I was
one.
reading it.
I'm never gonna want to answer the phone again.
I also don't answer my phone, so
Neither do I. But
don't try to contact me in any way. I'll see you when I see you.
I cannot be reached. I don't even know what to make of that.
I don't have an explanation. Usually I kind of have thoughts. I have nothing. I have nothing for that one.
Oh my god.
I'm scared.
Was it a joke? Was it a prank?
The fact that it wasn't an internal kind of like you can tell when it's an office to office kind of call. And
Yes.
it wasn't any other extension. It was
Only-
just kind of ringing from the phone itself, just ringing.
Highly uncomfortable. That
I
made
don't
my stomach
think
hurt.
I would ever go back to work.
No, the 7 days call on the
Ooh,
ring. Like
yeah.
they cursed her. Oh, I feel
A little ill.
that's one of those ones that I just need to sit for a minute.
You ready to move on?
No.
Okay.
But yeah.
Let's get a sip of tea first. Moving on to the next one. We've got quite a few. One woman managed hotels and changed locations, working the morning shift. It was one of her first few weeks in the hotel when a guest came running down the hall claiming that someone was in her room. The manager followed her down to her room, calling to the front that they may need security as the guest explained that she woke up to see a man dressed in older clothes giving her some sort of cloth. When she opened the cloth, there was an old pistol inside. She dropped the cloth and ran. When they got back to the room, nobody was there, and they didn't find any cloth or weapons of any kind in the room. The woman and the manager talked about it, and the guest decided that it must have been a very vivid nightmare. Later that day, after the guest had checked out and the manager discussed the crazy interaction with some of the other employees, they all went quiet. They let the manager know that this had happened before. The exact same scenario with at least 2 other guests that they knew of. Waking to find a man in old-timey clothes handing them a cloth of weapon.
Did that man off himself in the hotel?
I don't know. That just gave me the heebie-jeebies.
That's what I thought you were about to say. I thought you were about to say, instead of like, oh, it happened to other people, I thought you were going to say, this man is known to haunt the place because he took his own life in the 50s or whatever.
In my mind, it was like he was giving them
The weapon
a hot
to
weapon.
hurt themselves?
Like, oh, or that's creepy. But I was thinking like, hey, take this.
Oh,
I used this.
no one can know I had this.
Yeah.
We went very different
Drastically.
directions.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to make of that.
Giving it to them to hurt themselves, that is frightening.
Yeah,
I hate that so much.
I do too.
That
but,
makes
like,
me sad.
I'm just thinking that something bad happened. Also, I'm watching Dexter, as I mentioned before, and the therapist made those 3 women
Do it.
hurt
yeah.
themselves. Crazy show, by the way. Also, cannot look at Deb because her face scares me because she's Emily Rose.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I don't even know what to make of that. Why?
I don't know, but I hate it.
What do y'all think? Was he a criminal or a criminal? Like, was he giving them the gun to commit crimes, or did he commit
Was he trying
the
to get rid
crimes?
of the gun? Spooky. I used to work in a care home for the elderly and took a couple of extra night shifts to pay for a trip abroad. I was doing paperwork in the lounge at about 2 a.m. and all the residents were in bed. I saw a lady in the bottom corridor and thought it must be one of our residents, Jane. I got up, walked toward her and said, "Let's get you back to bed, Jane." A voice behind me said, "Okay." I spun around and almost lost it because Jane was sitting in a chair in front of the TV. No other residents in the unit were mobile, so I have no idea who or what I saw in the corridor that night.
That's enough for me. Sorry to those people. I've always been terrified of elderly homes.
They just got a vibe about them. Imagine working and you see someone down there and you think, oh, it's my one mobile resident, the only one here that can walk.
No.
And you turn around, she's like, okay. And she's behind you. You look back and no one's there.
Oh my God.
I hate that so much. I can picture like the shadow of the figure.
I know.
Okay, well, I've got one here. This next one, kind of a palate cleanser.
Oh, okay, good.
Maybe. It might be a little sad, but anyway. I definitely saw the spirit of a dog while on ICU night shift in veterinary school. We were between treatments at about 2 a.m. and I was at our desk, which was U-shaped and in the center of the ICU. While staring out the door to the main hallway of our hospital, I saw a white Labrador retriever walk down the hall. I vividly remember that it was wagging its tail, so a little happy dog. I actually ran out of the ICU to grab it, thinking that some patient had gotten out of its kennel in another ward. There was nothing there, and all of the neighboring doors to the other rooms were locked. The vets, techs, and other students were very confused by me running into the hallway after a dog that wasn't there. But I know what I saw. I always had my snack and a soda around 2 a.m., so I was very much awake. I've had other experiences in that building and at my current clinic, but that white dog wagging its tail made the biggest impression on me. It seemed happy, which comforts me.
As soon as you said a palate cleanser or you're going to be sad, I knew where it was going. I knew it was about to be a dog.
But it was happy.
I can't. The only paranormal experience I've ever had with an animal was after our childhood dog, Riley, had passed away.
Rest in peace.
After 15, almost 16 years, I was in my bed at mom's house and I heard like woof, like the woof he used to do because he wanted food in the middle of the night. It was just in a habit because he would always come to my room and do that. And I was like, Riley, no. And I turned over and then it hit me that he was no longer with us.
That's spooky.
It didn't scare me. It just made me sad. But he was there.
Still there.
He was there for a while. He was.
Yeah.
I heard him and yeah. But move on before I get sad.
Okay. I'm an operating room RN and I work nights. We are a trauma hospital, so there's always a team on standby for any emergencies. Usually, after cleaning and setting up the rooms for the following day, we each find a corner to doze off in, usually away from the cameras, but close enough to hear any announcements of an incoming emergency. There are cameras in every room or hallway and in the OR, and they can all be monitored from the front desk where the charge nurse sits. One night, the charge nurse called us for a possible emergency case, but my partner was missing. The charge nurse starts looking at the cameras and sees one particular room where the lights are off, but you can still partially see inside because the lights in the hallway were on. We clearly see someone sitting with their legs crossed at the nurse's desk in the chair, moving their leg up and down and facing away from the camera. The charge nurse called into the room and we see the figure move slightly toward the ringing phone in the chair, but didn't answer and continued bobbing their leg up and down. The charge nurse got annoyed and sent me to get her from the room because the team was all assembled in the front desk and she was the only one missing. When I get to the OR room, I open the door, flick the lights on, and found it empty. Our OR suite is large, so I figured she finally got up and went to the front desk, but took the other hallway while I was making my way to the room. It happens a lot. I went back to the front desk expecting to see her, but she wasn't there, and I told the team she wasn't in the room. We were all confused, so we checked the cameras again, and the figure was still there, sitting in the chair, legs crossed, bobbing the leg up and down. As we were looking at the cameras, my partner came waltzing toward us from the opposite end of the OR suite. She was in the supply closet the entire time. Of course, we looked at the cameras again. The figure was still there. Chills ran down our spines, and we decided to do the trauma on the other side of the OR suite and away from the ghost. Of course, we told the day staff in the morning what happened. We were told by the veteran nurses, the ones who had been there for 20 plus years, that a nurse they used to work with died on the table when she was having her own surgery in that very room. They said sometimes when we're working on a case in that room and they have trouble finding some obscure suture that's rarely used, they'll ask her for help, and the suture magically appears on their desk when they're not looking.
Oh my gosh. I feel like we could probably end up doing an entire episode on hospitals.
Oh, that too, yeah. There's so many stories. There's like whole websites dedicated to people talking about their experiences as like nurses and doctors and stuff. Creepy. All of them saw it. All of them looked at the camera and saw this person. They're like, go get her. She's not answering the phone.
But
no one there.
Why stick around at the hospital where you died?
We talked about this last time too. Especially, she worked there.
Yeah.
Like you returning to your work. I don't know if you just feel a strong connection there.
I don't know how I feel about that. because
I think it's creepy.
well, yes, creepy, and I would never want to be alone in a hospital ever.
No. On to the next one. I was working at a middle school as a night shift custodian. This already, like, I
It's
read
too
the
much.
first sentence and I was like, that's enough. That's enough. I got it.
As soon as you said
Creepy.
middle school, I was like, oh,
Schools are another thing.
yep.
We used to stay after school with, like, our friend's dad was a principal, and I used to stay after school with her all the time, and it was dark, and even in the summer and stuff, we'd go up there, and it was dark and creepy, and we played games all the time, but I was always scared.
Oh yeah, me too.
Anyway, back to this person here. I cleaned a long U-shaped wing full of classrooms every weeknight. I made the full lap around the wing, and I'd been cleaning there all night alone, and came to the end of the hallway where the doors to the rest of the school were. When I shut the lights off, the dark silhouette of what looked like a child ran across the end of the hallway from left to right. There were doors down there, but I'd just locked them all up and no one was around. I was so creeped out. I locked the doors connecting the wing to the rest of the school and ran to my car. I always felt like I was seeing things out of the corner of my eyes working there at night, but that was one of the most visible, for sure, things that I saw at that place.
Running. I hate it. I hate it a lot, and especially because it's a child. Or is it? Oh, that's horrible. And I'm envisioning like our elementary school, and I'm just sick.
Schools in general. I would never work as a nighttime custodian.
No.
That is so scary.
And I would never go into the school like our sister, like Kayla. Sometimes she'll go into the school early to do stuff because she's a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Not me.
I have another one of a nursing home. Okay, so this person had many stories, but this is the one that I kept in here that scared her the most. She said that there is something back there that bothers her residents at night. She said, I have a Greek woman who doesn't speak English at the far end of the hall. She'll be talking up a storm. No idea what she's saying, but it'll be loud enough to hear all the way down the hallway. When I go down to check on her, she stops talking and pretends to sleep, starting back up when I walk away. This will continue on for a while, and she'll stop talking and go to sleep. A few minutes later, the woman in the next room will start talking to something. When she stops, the woman across the hall will start talking to something. They aren't just mumbling either. It's a conversation. Talk, then pause to listen, then talk again. And no two are doing it at the exact same time. They're all in separate rooms with various levels of dementia. So it's not like they discuss it or know what's going on in the other rooms. It's literally like someone or something is going down the hall, room to room, waking people up to talk until they fall asleep, then going to the next. They also always talk about that man. That man was in my room. That man is standing in the corner behind you. That man told me to. Again, all saying the same thing without knowing the others are seeing the same person. Happens on a very regular basis and never stops being creepy. I wonder what he says to them.
First of all, when you said she'll be talking and then pretends to sleep, horrifying.
That was creepy.
Horrifying. And if you would have stopped there, I'm still scared. That man.
It's creepy because it happens. She's like, this room starts. She goes to sleep. Then this room starts, goes to sleep. Then this, like it's moving slowly down the hall, going to each room, each person, going to have a little chat with them.
That is so sick, but none of them seem scared. They're just talking.
No, that man told me to.
They could have left that part out.
Yeah, I'm getting really spooked.
I am too, and it's dark outside.
So I've got two more. One is kind of happy and one is not.
Okay, let's start with the happy.
You want to end on a scary note?
Yeah.
Okay. I work in a cardiac ICU and we have quite a lot of deaths around here. That being said, we had one patient that comes to mind. I'll call him Greg G. Greg was on the unit for months. He fought very hard to stay alive every day, and to his credit, he had been getting better for a good amount of time. Greg was fairly old, late 70s or early 80s. The thing is, he initially looked very young and acted very hip. He became a meme around the unit, and everyone loved him because he was an old white dude who loved rap, Tupac and Biggie. He also had his family bring mood lights into his room that synced with his music. I kid you not, the room was playing rap in rave mode sometimes. We called him DJ Greggy G, and he loved it. Unfortunately, he took a turn for the worse. His condition deteriorated rapidly, and ultimately, he died. We were devastated as a unit. His family let us keep his mood lights on, and to this day, we keep them plugged in at the nurse's station. However, one day the mood lights turned off. We were saddened. Nobody could get them working. But then, they turned on. We were so happy, and they started flashing super irrationally. Then we heard the patient who was in Greg's old room start screaming, and we went to check on her. She was a confused old lady who would say some pretty wild things, but this one was weird. She said that she was watching the flashing lights in the hall. She could see them from her room, to be fair. And then she said that she saw a silhouette of a man cast into the wall by the lights. Then she started yelling, "Tell Greg to leave. It's not his room anymore. Tell Greg to go." There is no way she knew it was Greg's room, and with her memory being the way it was, there's also no way she would have remembered even if she had been told.
Oh my god, that one's not that scary.
He's still raving.
Yeah,
that's why I said it wasn't a bad one.
That one feels cute. It feels more tragic than scary.
She knew him. She knew his name.
Mm-hmm.
She was not there with him.
Tell her to get out of Greg's room.
It's Greg's room, and it always will be.
Oh, that was a sweet one, but now I'm ready for
This one's really scary.
Okay.
Back when I was in HCA, I was doing my hourly breathing rounds, just poking my head into the doorways, sometimes turning the nightlight on to make sure. And about halfway down the hall, I see a resident sitting up at the edge of her bed facing the doorway. I ask if she's all right and if she needs anything. She was looking down, and as she looks up, she kind of twists her head from side to side, but she maintains eye contact with me. In a hoarse voice, she replies, "Helen isn't here anymore." I effing ran to the nurse's station and reported to the nurse. The nurse looks at me and kind of chuckles, saying it's impossible as that resident is a total assist, basically not mobile and not very verbal. We make our way down there anyways. Not even 2 minutes go by. The resident is tucked nicely in bed, snoring away as though nothing happened.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
I am so scared right now.
I feel like tears coming into my eyes right now.
I'll cut that out, but I had to stop in the middle of me saying that one because I got really scared. Just because I knew it was coming.
Helen isn't here.
Helen isn't here anymore.
And neither would I be.
The head movements too got me. Visioning her head twisting and looking up.
Yep. That's enough. That's enough. Thank you. Thank you.
Everyone take a deep breath.
Why? How dare you? What have you done? Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Whoa.
That was the worst one by far.
We should have saved the good one to end because now my stomach just hurts.
Yeah, I don't get very sick very often, but I'm feeling pretty queasy.
It's the head movements. It's like that one, the Mimic episode with his head moving around like a bird.
Yeah. Don't remind me of that.
We've had some scary freaking stories on here.
Yeah.
That one's sick. That could be in a movie.
Oh, yeah.
That's
a really good possession kind of movie. Yeah.
Speaking of movies, y'all seen Long Legs?
I haven't yet. Don't ruin it for me. Natalie has.
Let me know what y'all thought. I will be responding to any comments talking about Long Legs because I need my community. I need to talk to somebody.
I think I'm gonna watch it on my birthday.
That's good. I told Ryan that you don't do anything for your birthday, that you do Oreos and Harry Potter at home.
I do usually, but I told Jake, said maybe I'm just gonna go to the movie theater and just live there for a day. No one will see me.
Good.
I'll just go in and jump movie to movie and then come out when I'm ready.
Hey, there's Long Legs, there's Despicable Me 4, there's Inside Out 2.
I've seen that one.
There's A Quiet Place, but I heard it sucked, so I'm waiting till it comes out on streaming.
Mm-hmm. Twister.
If you like Glenn Powell.
I don't care. But
me
I
neither.
do like Twister. So
I want to see it in 4D.
I do like Storm Chasers.
Oh god.
I follow them on social media.
Anyways, let me know about Long Legs. I'm just trying to distract myself from that last story.
Yes.
But anyways,
that's where we'll leave you today.
This was good.
So sorry if we frightened you. Sort of. That's kind of why we're here anyway. I'm not sorry I frightened you.
I had fun, but I'm sick.
I had a good time.
I'm about to go stay in a hotel. You sick little freak. I'm going to have to be
so sorry.
I'm going to have to be in a hotel tomorrow.
I'm so sorry.
If I make it back, we'll have more episodes to come.
We'll let you know.
But okay.
I hope you make it back. Have I already said this? I'm scared. We appreciate you taking the time to listen or watch with us today. The best way to support us is to subscribe wherever you're watching. Leave us 5 stars, comment, do all the things. Share us with your spooky friends if you have friends who enjoy this kind of stuff, especially scary stories like this. Let them know. These are scary.
Yeah.
but share us anyway. Share us with everyone you know.
Yeah. Follow us on all the socials, Ghosteas Pod.
Oh, and if you have a story of your own, we'd love to hear it. We'd love to put it in a future episode. You can email us at ghostiespod@gmail.com. always looking for more stories there.
Yes, listener stories are my favorite. So
Helen isn't here anymore.
Jesus Christ. Goodbye.